What is the one question that can change your parenting every single day, help you to be a better parent, and help your children to feel like they are in a home where they can truly flourish? Welcome to the Happy Families Podcast, real parenting solutions every day on Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. My name is Dr. Justin Coulson. I would normally be joined by my wife, Mrs. Happy Families, Kylie. Unfortunately, because of the way life goes, sometimes she's not with us today. However, I'm going to share with you the one thing. I want to talk about a video, quite honestly, that completely destroyed my ego and changed my parenting. There's a bit of context here. So here's the context. I've been a surfer for nearly 40 years, which makes me sound a lot older than I am. And maybe I am that old, but I don't feel like I should be old enough to be able to say that. Surfing has been a source of joy, a source of identity throughout my life, and I've always considered myself to be a pretty decent surfer. I would say that I would be an above average surfer. When I'm out in the water and I look at who else is surfing and what they're doing, I'm like, yeah, I can compete pretty well here. Big waves, love them. Winter surfing, bring it on. I'm not afraid of the cold water. Surfing isn't just what I do. Surfer is who I am. But despite all those years of catching waves, since I was, I don't know, like 11, 12, 13, something like that, I've never really had the time or the resources to go on a proper surf trip. More significantly, I've never seen photos of myself or video of myself surfing. Kylie has never come to the beach with me to watch. We've always had too many kids and too many other things going on, and Kylie's pretty much said, I can't think of anything more boring than laying on the sand and watching you have fun in the surf. So I've never seen photos, never seen video of me surfing. That changed late last year when, after several years of waiting and saving and planning, I finally jumped on an airplane to a tropical paradise with perfect waves and empty lineups. And at the end of my first day in the water, I sat down to review some photos and videos of my waves because Kylie was with me and one of my mates and his wife came along. So Kylie and Suze were on the beach taking photos and getting some video. I couldn't wait. I was so excited. Show me the video. Did you get that wave where I did? Like, I was really pumped. Best way to say what happened next is that my exhilaration became despair. In fact, I might have called myself a Gumby. I'm pretty sure I just muttered to myself, I'm actually a Gumby. Like, I felt like I was doing these huge turns, these huge carves, water spraying everywhere, looking totally pro. In reality, my surfing moves were somewhat less dramatic and quite uncoordinated. As we walked back to our room that night, I said to Kylie, I don't even know why we're here. I think that let's just go home. We can get a midnight flight. We're going to go home. I don't want to surf ever again. I think I need a new hobby. Let's take up lawn bowls maybe. Surely I can be better at lawn bowls than I am at surfing. But we went to sleep. Something shifted overnight. The next morning, I headed straight to the Surfer's Heart, where the local pro was waiting with his usually, it was just a happy guy. He's sitting there with this great big grin. He sees me. He says, Justin. And before he could say anything else, I just jumped straight in. Smiley, I watched some video of myself surfing yesterday. I really thought I was better than I am. Well, he was really kind about it. He said, no, you're a good surfer. In fact, you're better than the average surfer that we get here at the resort. And I responded, I was pretty brutal on myself, but I'm not as good as I thought I was. I'm really, really down after yesterday. And then I asked what I think became a transformative question. If there was just one thing that I could do today to improve, what would you suggest? Each day from that point, we had a daily conversation. If there's one thing I could do today to improve, what would you suggest? Several days in a row, it was the same thing. But by the end of the week, my surfing had improved so dramatically that other guests were asking whether I had a secret twin brother who was much more talented than I was because I'd become a better surfer. What was the secret? The secret was self-awareness. Now, here's something that's really hard for me to say. Every now and again, my kids have got the video camera recording on their phones and they'll play back video. I'll hear myself on the video. So they were recording something. I'd walked into the room and said something like, would you tidy this mess up? Or would you please be nice to your sister? Or whatever it is. And then later when I hear that video played back, I kind of cringe. I think, wow, did I sound like that? Here I am. I'm supposed to be this parenting expert who knows how to get it right all the time. And I get it so wrong. Seeing ourselves as we really are can be incredibly uncomfortable, but it's essential for our growth. Just like my surfing reality check led to rapid improvement, Parents who are able to develop self-awareness often see dramatic positive changes in their family relationships. When I used to be in radio decades ago, after each shift, I would sit down with my boss and we would review all the things that I spoke about. There was technology that allowed recording to occur. Every time I turned the mic on, my voice break would be recorded. So we could sit down and just listen to the things that I said on the radio. That created an incredible sense of self-awareness. I learned what I sounded like. I learned how a smile in my voice changed the way that I spoke compared to if I didn't have the smile in my voice and I was speaking like this. I learned these little things and learned to be self-aware, and that improved my capacity, my professionalism on air as a radio announcer. Self-awareness is the key. After the break, I'm going to tell you how you can see yourself more clearly and give you 3 steps to better parenting through self-awareness. Research from Tasha Urich shows that while 95% of people think they're self-aware, only about 10 to 15% of people actually are. This is known as the self-awareness gap, and it affects us in all aspects of our lives, but particularly our parenting much more than we might realize. If we can develop self-awareness, we will see dramatic positive changes in our family relationships. The trick is that 95% of us already think that we are self-aware. That's the great challenge. There are other studies that demonstrate that parents with greater self-awareness show improved emotional awareness of both themselves and their children. They regulate better and they're much more consistent with their parenting behaviours. So there are tremendous advantages to developing the capacity to be self-aware and know what our face looks like, or know how our voice sounds as we're doing and saying what we are towards our children or towards our husband, wife, partner. When we see ourselves clearly, we are more effective in our relationships. I think the best example of this might be, how many times have we said, "I never yell," and then our spouse or a partner says, "What about yesterday? And what about that thing 2 days ago? And what about blah?" And they point out 3 instances from the past week, and we go, "Oh, okay, well, that wasn't really yelling." And it's like, hello, self-awareness. Or we've said, "Yeah, I always listen to my kids," while we're ironically scrolling through our phone during their story about school. Like my surfing experience, the gap between our perceived and our actual parenting skills often only becomes visible when we see ourselves through an objective lens, which is so hard because we're so subjective. This is hard to say. Sometimes this comes through video. I shared how shocked I was when I overheard or saw recordings of my interactions with my children when the kids have been sharing that. We also get increased self-awareness if we're humble enough to take feedback from others, or if we're just willing to simply take some quiet time and reflect really honestly on our behaviours. Here's the good news though. Just as my surfing improved dramatically once I acknowledged my limitations and sought specific feedback, our parenting can transform when we embrace self-awareness. Research shows that parents who received video feedback in one study showed significant, imagine this, you're sitting down with the psychologist and they're playing back video of you interacting with your kids, but you do that, and the researchers found that there were significant improvements in parenting behaviours and interactions with the kids, especially in their ability to respond sensitively when their children had needs. This is what I think is fascinating. The improvement isn't just about correcting mistakes. I learned with the surfing to focus on one specific aspect of my surfing each day. And what you'll find is that as a parent, if you just focus on incremental improvements rather than trying to fix everything at once, or try to do more of the stuff that you're doing right, that's where you see the most sustainable change in your parenting behaviour. So let me share 3 steps to better parenting through being more self-aware. Actionable step number 1. And this one's a tricky one, and I know it's going to be really confronting, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Create your own surf video moment. In other words, set up regular opportunities for feedback. You might say to your kids, "I'd like to record this conversation so I can watch it back later to see how I can do it better." Now, 2 things are going to happen there. First of all, your kids are going to look at you and think you are fully weird, but you're going to interact with your child differently because you know that you're recording yourself. And then when you watch yourself back, you will still pick up things that can help you to be better. If you don't want to record that interaction, maybe you're more willing to record a family dinner conversation. Or maybe you don't want to record it all because it's too confronting. So you can ask your spouse or partner for some specific observations, or even invite your kids to share their perspectives. Obviously, you've got to be prepared because it might hurt a little bit. Like my initial shock when I saw my surfing videos, that really stung. But it was the foundation for improvement. Here's my second actionable step for how you can improve your self-awareness as a parent. Ask the "what's one thing" question. So I asked my surf instructor for one specific focus area each day. If you regularly ask yourself or your spouse or partner, or even your kids, what's one thing that you'd like me to do better today as a parent? Or what's one thing that you think that I could improve on as a parent? Or what's one thing that I'm doing really well as a parent? This makes improvement manageable. It prevents overwhelm. You don't feel like you're being beat up. And it's about those small, consistent changes that lead to significant transformations. The third idea, the third actionable step for increasing your self-awareness is to practice daily reflection. If you spend 5 minutes each evening writing down in a little parenting journal one parenting interaction that went well and one that you could have done better, research shows that it's a simple practice, really. It's going to increase your self-awareness. It's going to improve future behavior. You can think of it as your post-surf analysis. And here's the great thing. Just as I discovered in that tropical paradise, sometimes our most uncomfortable moments of self-awareness become our greatest opportunities for transformation. Although, I have to admit, I'm still working on convincing my teenagers to give me daily feedback on my parenting. So far, their most consistent suggestion is, "Dad, stop trying to use our slang." Fair enough. That's probably pretty valid. No cap, as they say. Actually, they've informed me this morning that no cap is also now embarrassingly outdated. I'm working on it. Really hope that these ideas have been helpful for you in your parenting and your attempts to be more self-aware in what you're doing with the kids. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Coulson from Bridge Media. Kylie should be back with me again tomorrow. It's just one of those days, one of those things. If you would like more information and more resources to make your family happier, please visit happyfamilies.com.au.